Hello guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the severe weather threat that is coming to the United States roughly Friday night into Saturday, and possibly even beyond that. Um, some of the threats that we do have that are involved is on the March 10th. Oh wait, no, sorry. Just getting back into things, so it's going to take me a second. 5 days out, so like Friday. Yeah. Friday, we are seeing huge, big area. This is most likely because it's uncertain of where the severe weather is going to be at. But big area, 15% chance risk. In reality, this is most likely going to split off two ways. We're going to have severe weather threat here, and most likely, obviously, in here somewhere, and probably as well as down here. Um, I expect these threats. This is going to be more of the cold core threat, although there is a decent amount of moisture that is getting up here, so we could see um, actual severe weather for the first time this season up there in Illinois, Iowa, and maybe even Wisconsin, Indiana, and Michigan. Um, Michigan and Indiana is a little bit of a stretch, but there's definitely chances on these areas. So we'll just have to see where it goes. Um, Going out to day 6, the severe weather risk continues, but it drops more southerly. We have a 30% chance in that area in Mississippi and Alabama. And then we also have 15% containing majority of Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, and a little bit of Florida and Louisiana. And maybe even on day 7, we could have a risk down here in Florida, as most likely there will be a squall line that moves down. So far, that's what models have been showing, that just moves down. And if conditions are right, which it looks like, the cape will be there. And a couple ingredients will still be there into Friday. We could definitely see something Friday coming that on Florida before eventually moving out of the U.S. So, the reason I'm making a video on this storm is because this storm specifically has been already looking very, very strong as it comes in as 983. And it's going to bash into California, Oregon, and Washington. Um, it's going to come in really strong, and then it's going to just deepen over the plains. There we see it just continuously deep, and that's going from 986 to all the way down to 974 on this model before, you know, gaining some strength back. Or not gaining strength back, sorry, before finally stopping, although some models have shown that this doesn't stop, deepening until 960. Right here you can see these little lines that will mainly indicate that there will be very, very strong winds included with this storm, and we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, these are already great indicators of this. If there was more moisture, this could have been an historic event. Thankfully, the dew points are only getting into 60s and 50s up here. There's a chance still down south that something major happens. That's why they have that highlighted 30% risk. But yeah, the dew points really killed this thing off, for at least the northern part of it. But we still see, um, sorry, we still see right here. We got a bunch of storms. This is into Saturday morning, so this is roughly like Friday late night. We get these storms to come through. There could be some possible, I say very, very possible chance that we could get a couple stronger storms and possibly even severe. This will move into Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana mainly, before moving into Michigan. Right here, this looks a little bit more concerning. These are individual little cells that have the chance to possibly be tornadic, but once again, dew points aren't going to be there. just a couple of key factors aren't really going to be there to help it. And then that severe weather starts to move out. Saturday midday goes into Ontario where stuff will happen, but nothing major. Sorry, I keep doing that. And as that moves out, just look at the backside of this thing. There's some spots over here that could get a foot of snow. There is actually a decent chance. It said like 40% chance in some areas in South Dakota, North Dakota area, and Minnesota, where they could see up to a foot of snow if this isn't like a major ice storm. So this storm is no joke. Anyway, then we see this happen, which is really strange. I don't quite follow it yet, but starts off as rain showers or like little cells. And then we get this little like big line area of just a major thunderstorm possible. Turns into a line. And if we look down here, it's mainly just going to be wind threat if this holds true. Maybe some like QLCS tornadoes. But the only major thing I see here is the chance for QLCS tornadoes, and this is a little concerning. If little supercells or cells out in front of it can get going, they have such a rich environment right now, and especially with wind shear and everything, if they get going, they could produce tornadoes. So tornado risk is definitely a thing. Although mainly, at least on this model run, it's showing mainly a line of storms, so more focused on QLCS tornadoes. And we actually sort of see a Boeing segment. It almost shows across Kentucky and Tennessee that would move eventually into Virginia and North Carolina. This will sort of try and exit, but we could see some cells fire up, which this is another area where I think there could be some supercells, or not supercells, but cells that have the capability of producing tornadoes across South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and maybe even into Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, and Vermont. So definitely keep our eyes on that. So that also sort of like forms a line, but this model doesn't show great. We're way still out in the week, so things will change. That moves out of the U.S. And then really, we could see something actually. This is new to me, but this is still a ways out, so I wouldn't trust it completely yet. Maybe a storm system next Thursday. Yeah. Possibly try and come through and cause a disturbance. This is way far out, so it's not going to be exact. Nothing's going to be exact. Even this storm system still won't be exact yet. But, yeah. So, really quickly, we'll run through the rest of these. 24-hour precipitation. We see the storm system move through. We could see some flooding issues in northern Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia. As we see, some spots are even reaching 6 inches of rain. So we could definitely see flooding as a big issue before this moves out. A couple areas in South and North Carolina that could see a couple inches of rain, but once again, still a little bit far out, so nothing's going to be exact. But yeah. Here's the unstable cape. I'll also show surface space in a second. You really get to see here how this is going to work out. In the day, we will get some of that moisture to come up, which will help. Gulf moisture, if it can really get up there. Which will help as well with some cape and energy in the atmosphere to help out. We could see severe weather is very likely, honestly. Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana. As we do get, it's not much, it's only like 300 joules in some spots, up to 800. But could see some severe weather with that. And down in the south, they get roughly 1,000 to 2,000 joules in their environment, so there's definitely a good environment down there. One thing I will show really quickly, dew point. You will see how this moves in, and how it really does try. Dew points do try to surge a little bit. They will actually get into the 60s and even almost 70s in Louisiana, so that could be an issue. If it can get into the 70s, that could really be an issue. But some areas, mainly in the 60s, over Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, pretty good chance we'll see something, some sort of severe weather. And as the system moves through, we actually do see some 70s pop up on the screen now. And this is a lot bigger of an area covered by even 60s. But yeah, as the day goes on Saturday, this could become a big issue. We're seeing, sorry, we're seeing dew points into the 60s and 50s, basically all up and down the East Coast at this point. So, a lot of fuel. And then this moves into Florida, obviously, and moves out of the U.S. finally. Something could happen in the future, but still a little bit far out, even for this system, like I said. So, here's the supercell composite. This is surface base. As we go into Thursday, we will get some over Texas and Louisiana. This really won't turn into anything. And then into Friday night, we actually do see perimeters up to 7 or 8 possible up there in Illinois, Iowa, and Wisconsin. This will die down eventually as the night goes on. And then in the daytime, again, we could see something happen. Kentucky and Ohio, perimeters reaching up to 10. So there's still a decent threat area. Honestly, from everything we've looked at, looks like we could have something as well up here. Obviously, it's still far out, but there could be some sort of risk up there as well into Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio area, Southern Ohio. Maybe a threat up in here, Southern Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin. Michigan's a stretch again, and so is Northern Indiana, but we'll see how it goes. And then obviously that moves out. Then, now, off of that system, just in general, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Roughly a little bit warmer and a lot warmer in the East Coast. So basically, we're just really warm in the eastern half of the U.S., and in the western half, we are really cold right now. A little bit will change. We're going to be a little bit less warm here in the eastern coast, but still cold in the western. And then all across the board, we're going to be pretty above average on rainfall, especially over there in California, Nevada, Arizona, and parts of Utah. And then, once again, still mainly above average on precipitation. I think that's pretty much it. I did say we would go back and look at the surface base. So surface base cape is surface based. That makes sense. So we see into Wednesday we could get a decent portion, and then Friday night, I wouldn't say a huge chance, but there's showing up to surface base 1,400 joules of energy. And maybe a little something happens in Indiana. Mainly Iowa and Illinois, it looks like. But we'll just figure it out. And that actually could be an issue as well. 2,600 joules down there in Louisiana, and Mississippi. And this is why I say I feel like there's a chance that we see something happen up there in Kentucky. Oh my God. Up there in Kentucky and West Virginia is because we still have good perimeters up there. So, um, whatever it is, there's going to be some sort of severe weather in this area. Mainly if you live in, I'd say like, oh, I did that wrong. Hang on. Something like that. If you live in any of that area, um, something could happen this week, but obviously it's still a little bit far out, so just depends on where it's gonna happen, I guess. Well, thank you guys for watching. Sorry if I sound sick. I don't know, getting back into running and stuff, and it's cold where I am, so I'm coughing a lot. Alright, see you guys in the next one. Peace out.